Okay, let me start with this. What if I told you one of the wildest football matches in English history didn't involve Manchester United or Liverpool, but rather two teams you've probably never heard of? Dagenham and Redbridge versus Brentford in 2014. 12 goals. 2 own goals. A penalty shootout that felt like it lasted longer than the actual game. This is the Carabao Cup, baby, and it's where football logic goes to die. Personally, I think this competition is criminally underrated. People obsess over FA Cup giant killings, but the EFL Cup? It's pure chaos. Let's dig into why. So, here's the thing about the Carabao Cup. It's the only tournament where you'll see a Premier League giant score 10 goals in a single match. West Ham vs Bury in 1983. 10-0, Tony Cottee bagging for. That's not just a scoreline, it's a psychological massacre. What's fascinating here is how these matches expose football's class system. Top-tier teams treat early rounds like training sessions, while lower league clubs throw everything at trying to create a miracle. But here's the twist. Sometimes those miracles backfire spectacularly. Take Aston Villa's 8-3 comeback against Wycombe in 2005. They were down 3-1 at halftime, then exploded for 7 in the second half. What does that say about pressure? About motivation? Honestly, I think it's proof that football's most dramatic collapses happen when the underdog gets too comfortable. Now, let's talk about Arsenal's 7-5 thriller against Reading. People remember the goals, but what fascinates me is the mental gymnastics involved. Theo Walcott scoring 4 in extra time? That's not just fitness, it's sheer refusal to lose. And let's not forget Olivier Giroud's iconic shirt-throwing blunder. Moments like that humanize players we often see as superhuman. From my perspective, that match redefined what a comeback could look like. But here's what most fans miss. Reading were newly promoted and desperate to prove themselves. Their collapse wasn't just tactical, it was emotional. Football's cruel like that. And then there's the 2024 Preston vs Fulham penalty shootout. 34 kicks. 31 goals. A new record. Let me ask you this. Is taking 17 penalties each a test of skill or just sheer luck? I'd argue it's more about psychology. By the 15th round, players aren't thinking about technique, they're just trying not to be the one who cracks. That's what makes shootouts so brutal. They're not fair. They're survival of the mentally toughest. But here's the deeper question. Why does this tournament produce such insanity? I think it's because of its unique structure. Early rounds have two-legged ties sometimes, which means lower league teams can smell blood in the first leg. But modern football's gap between tiers has widened so much that we're seeing more blowouts now. Manchester City's 9-0 versus Burton? That's not just dominance, it's a symptom of a system where elite academies outclass entire professional squads. Yet, weirdly, that same tournament gave us Reading's 4-0 lead over Arsenal. It's like football's version of Schrodinger's cat, simultaneously glorious and horrifying. Let me leave you with this thought. If you're a small club, is reaching the Carabao Cup semis worth it? Burton Albion got humiliated 9-0 by City, but their fans still got a trip to the Etihad. Contrast that with Dagenham's players in 2014, scoring 6 goals, fighting for 120 minutes, then losing on penalties. What's the greater victory? Personally, I think it's the journey. Because in this tournament, even humiliation makes you immortal. These matches aren't just games, they're stories. And that's why the Carabao Cup remains the most unpredictable, exhilarating dumpster fire in football.